Whoever did this background put their foot in it. I love it.
Yeah, Brandon worked really hard. He got up so early this morning.
It's all of Louis' flowers.
Always doing the most.
Picked them all by hand.
He did. He's been gardening
Went
and
to
raising
Connecticut
them.
this morning, actually. Got them all. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. How are you guys?
Good.
Great.
How are you?
Oh my gosh, I'm good. Okay, so I will start by saying during the screening, there wasn't a dry eye.
Hollywood is no stranger to scandals, but this one? It's got everyone talking. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, once co-stars, now bitter legal rivals, are locked in a $400 million defamation battle that's getting uglier by the day. What started as a highly anticipated film project has spiraled into a courtroom showdown, complete with shocking accusations, leaked messages, and unexpected celebrity involvement. But how did things get so bad? And why is Lively fighting tooth and nail to bring Baldoni down? What was once a promising collaboration between two respected Hollywood figures has turned into a brutal, career-altering legal war. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni were poised to bring It Ends With Us, one of the most highly anticipated book-to-film adaptations, to life. The film, based on Colleen Hoover's best-selling novel, had fans buzzing with excitement from the moment casting was announced. Lively, known for her sharp performances and commanding screen presence, was stepping into a role that many believed would be a defining moment in her career. Baldoni, on the other hand, wasn't just acting. He was also producing and directing the film, marking a major milestone in his career. On paper, they seemed like the perfect duo, but behind the scenes, things were far from harmonious. Almost immediately, rumors began circulating about creative differences between the two stars. Some claimed that Lively wasn't happy with Baldoni's direction of the film, particularly how he handled sensitive themes from the book. Others suggested that Baldoni was overstepping boundaries, both professionally and personally. There were whispers that the on-set environment was tense, with heated arguments erupting over creative decisions and alleged uncomfortable interactions. At first, the tension was chalked up to the usual behind-the-scenes disagreements that happen in any high-pressure film production. But then, things took a much darker turn. By the end of 2024, Blake Lively made a shocking move. She filed a formal complaint with the California Civil Rights Department, accusing Baldoni of inappropriate conduct on set. This was no longer just about a film. It had turned into a battle of accusations, denials, and a looming lawsuit that would shake Hollywood. And Baldoni's response? It only made things worse. From the outside, the production of It Ends With Us seemed to be running smoothly, with fans eagerly anticipating the film's release. But behind the scenes, cracks had already started to form. Rumors of tension between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni began surfacing early in production. Some dismissed the friction as nothing more than creative differences, something common in high-stakes projects. After all, Lively and Baldoni had very different creative visions.
Song Overscore, that time in her life was critical, and and I also love Rob Simonson so much. He's so great. My husband and I both worked with him on a couple. He did the Adam Project and Age of Adeline and Deadpool, and now he just did the most beautiful. The Atlas theme is actually my favorite.
Oh my gosh.
Lively, known for her meticulous approach to character development, reportedly wanted to ensure the film stayed true to Colleen Hoover's novel, especially its emotionally charged themes. Baldoni, as both director and producer, had his own ideas about how to bring the story to the big screen, allegedly pushing for changes that Lively disagreed with. At first, it seemed like standard Hollywood disagreements, but then rumors emerged suggesting the tension wasn't just about the film. It was something far more personal. According to inside sources, Lively became increasingly uncomfortable with Baldoni's behavior on set. Some reports alleged that Baldoni overstepped boundaries in ways that made her uneasy, with interactions that she later described as inappropriate. Exactly what transpired remains unclear, but multiple crew members later claimed to have witnessed moments that didn't feel right. For months, these whispers stayed behind closed doors, confined to industry insiders who knew something was off, but weren't sure how deep the conflict ran. Lively, known for keeping her personal matters private, didn't speak publicly about the growing unease. Then, everything changed. In December 2024, Lively took a bold and unexpected step. She filed a formal complaint with the California Civil Rights Department. Her allegations? Inappropriate conduct and retaliation on set. This was no longer just a case of clashing personalities. This was a serious legal matter that threatened to destroy careers. The moment news of the complaint hit the press, Hollywood went into a frenzy. The media pounced on the story, and suddenly, everyone had an opinion. Some backed Lively, praising her for speaking out. Others questioned whether there was more to the story, whether this was truly about misconduct, or if it was part of a deeper, more calculated move. And Baldoni? His response sent shockwaves through Hollywood and made everything even worse. Justin Baldoni didn't just deny Blake Lively's accusations. He went on the offensive in a way that stunned Hollywood. Within weeks of Lively's formal complaint, Baldoni's legal team launched a staggering $400 million defamation lawsuit against both Lively and her husband, Ryan Reynolds. His claim? That Lively had been plotting against him for months, using her Hollywood connections to blacklist him from future projects. But that wasn't all. He also accused Reynolds of playing a major role in the alleged smear campaign. In the lawsuit, Baldoni painted himself as the victim of a calculated takedown, arguing that Lively's accusations weren't just false. They were part of a bigger scheme to ruin his reputation. According to him, Lively had intentionally spread damaging claims behind closed doors, ensuring that top executives, producers, and studios turned their backs on him. Then, Baldoni's legal team took an even bolder step. They leaked private text messages between him, Lively, and Reynolds. These messages, which were made public through a lawsuit-focused website created by Baldoni's team, seemed to show a different side of the story. In the texts, Lively appeared friendly and cooperative with Baldoni, even joking with him and discussing the project with enthusiasm. Some messages showed her complimenting his work as a director, while others hinted at casual conversations that didn't seem to reflect any tension or discomfort. To Baldoni, these texts were proof that Lively had fabricated her allegations, and he hoped they would shift public perception in his favor. But the leak backfired. Almost immediately, Lively's legal team fired back, condemning the release of private conversations and accusing Baldoni of manipulating the texts to fit his narrative. According to them, the messages were taken out of context, carefully chosen to discredit Lively while conveniently leaving out other crucial exchanges. They demanded that the website be taken down immediately, calling the move a desperate attempt to control the story. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds, who had largely stayed quiet up until this point, was reportedly furious. Sources close to the actor claimed that he was now fully committed to fighting back against Baldoni's lawsuit and would do whatever it took to protect his wife's reputation. But Baldoni wasn't done. The lawsuit had already set off a media firestorm, and soon both sides were fighting not just in court, but in the press. And as the battle escalated, it became clear that this wasn't just about a lawsuit anymore. This was a full-blown Hollywood war. But if Justin Baldoni thought the leaked messages would be his trump card, he underestimated Blake Lively's response. Lively's legal team immediately demanded the removal of the leaked texts, slamming Baldoni for what they called a blatant attempt to manipulate public perception. They argued that the messages had been selectively edited and taken out of context to discredit Lively, while leaving out crucial exchanges that would tell a different story.
Okay. Oh, God.
This is cool. It's not every day the husband gets to interview his wife's love interest in a film. It's kind of crazy.
I don't remember seeing this on the
Let's
schedule.
dive in, shall we? So I saw you posing in a photo with Mrs. Reynolds, and I'm sorry, what do you call her? Do you guys have a nickname or
No.
something? Okay, no, just so it's Mrs. Okay. Anyway, I saw this photo.
Behind the scenes, Ryan Reynolds was reportedly furious. He had largely stayed out of the feud at first, but once his name was publicly linked to the lawsuit, he wasn't holding back anymore. Insiders claimed Reynolds saw Baldoni's lawsuit as nothing more than an attempt to weaponize the court system against his wife, and that he was ready to use his own influence to fight back hard. But this fight wasn't just about legal teams and courtroom filings anymore. It had exploded into a full-blown media war. With the internet ablaze over the lawsuit, Both Lively and Baldoni raced to control the narrative. This wasn't just about who would win in court. It was about whose version of the story would be believed by the public. Baldoni's team allegedly went on the offensive, hiring top-tier PR strategists to turn the tide in his favor. Suddenly, articles began circulating in major media outlets that cast doubt on Lively's claims. Some reports hinted at a personal vendetta, suggesting that Lively may have exaggerated or twisted events for her own gain. Others painted her as a manipulative Hollywood power player who weaponized accusations to destroy Baldoni's career. Some sources even alleged that Lively had been unhappy with how Baldoni handled the film from the start, and that she had been looking for an excuse to get him removed from the project. The implication? That this lawsuit wasn't about justice. It was about Lively's desire for power and control. But Lively wasn't without her own powerful allies. She had Hollywood's elite in her corner, and they were making their voices heard. As the media battle raged, other celebrities and industry insiders began taking sides. Some, including members of the It Ends With Us production team, came forward to defend Lively, stating that they had personally witnessed uncomfortable interactions between her and Baldoni. Then came the biggest endorsement of all. Colleen Hoover, the author of It Ends With Us, publicly voiced her support for Lively. Though careful with her words, Hoover made it clear that she was disappointed with how things had unfolded and subtly hinted that she believed Lively's version of events. This was a massive blow to Baldoni, who had worked closely with Hoover to bring the book to life. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds was working behind the scenes, using his influence to rally Hollywood against Baldoni. Insiders claimed that Reynolds personally reached out to executives, producers, and streaming platforms, urging them to blacklist Baldoni from future projects. Suddenly, the lawsuit wasn't just about Lively and Baldoni. It was about Hollywood's power structure and who truly held influence in the industry. And then, just when the scandal couldn't get any bigger, Taylor Swift's name got dragged into the mess, leaving fans stunned. Blake Lively wasn't fighting this battle alone. She had some of the most powerful figures in Hollywood backing her up. And at the center of it all, Ryan Reynolds. Reynolds wasn't just defending his wife in private. He was making strategic moves to turn Hollywood against Justin Baldoni. According to insiders, Reynolds quietly reached out to top executives, producers, and studio heads, warning them to keep their distance from Baldoni. The message was clear. Supporting Baldoni could mean professional consequences. Hollywood is built on relationships, and when an A-lister like Reynolds starts making calls, people listen. Rumors started circulating that Baldoni's potential projects were being put on hold, with some studios reconsidering their partnerships with him. His reputation was deteriorating fast, and the lawsuit had made him one of the most controversial figures in the industry. But the most unexpected blow to Baldoni came from Colleen Hoover, the woman who had once been his biggest supporter. Hoover, the author of It Ends With Us, had been instrumental in getting the film adaptation off the ground. She had personally supported Baldoni's vision for the film, and had even been involved in early discussions about casting and direction. But now, faced with the controversy surrounding her book's adaptation, she couldn't stay silent any longer. In a carefully worded statement, Hoover broke her silence, and it was a devastating blow to Baldoni. While she didn't directly accuse Baldoni of wrongdoing, her statement subtly but clearly sided with Lively. Hoover expressed her deep disappointment in how things had unfolded and stated that she believed integrity and respect should always be at the forefront of any creative project. While she didn't explicitly mention Baldoni's name, her words were unmistakably in favor of Lively's side of the story. This was a massive betrayal for Baldoni. He had worked closely with Hoover to bring It Ends With Us to life, and her support had been crucial in securing the project's backing. But now, Hoover was distancing herself from him, and Hollywood was paying attention. With both Ryan Reynolds and Colleen Hoover standing firmly behind Lively, Baldoni's legal battle was becoming an uphill fight. But just when it seemed like the case couldn't get any more explosive, a new name was thrown into the fire, and it was the last person anyone expected.
I didn't want to think about what people wanted too much, to be honest, because For me, I didn't want to like, it can trip you out to be considering too much what you think you should be doing rather than like your own honest interpretation of what you see in the book and on the page. So for her, it was just looking to her and being like, is this cool? And she's like, yeah, you're like, okay, then I.
Taylor Swift was one of Blake Lively's closest friends, but she never intended to be involved in this mess. That changed when, out of nowhere, her name was suddenly pulled into the scandal. Court documents revealed that private conversations between Lively, Reynolds, and Swift had been mentioned in Baldoni's legal filings. Fans were stunned. What did Swift have to do with this case? And why was she being dragged into a fight that wasn't hers? According to insiders, Baldoni's team was using Swift's name to suggest that Lively had been leveraging her powerful connections to influence the public narrative. The lawsuit implied that Lively had been feeding Swift information behind the scenes, possibly encouraging her to use her massive platform to subtly turn public opinion against Baldoni. The revelation blindsided Swift, who reportedly felt used and furious at being implicated in the controversy. She had no interest in getting involved in a Hollywood legal war, but now she had no choice. And as Swift's camp scrambled to contain the fallout, the internet exploded with theories. Because if Baldoni was right, this wasn't just a lawsuit anymore. This was a war for power in Hollywood. As one of Blake Lively's closest friends, Swift had naturally been supportive behind the scenes. But when court documents revealed her name in connection to private conversations between Lively and Reynolds, the internet went wild. According to insiders, Swift was caught off guard and felt blindsided by the public attention. She reportedly felt used and wanted no part in the battle. Fans started speculating that Lively and Reynolds had leaned on Swift's influence to subtly sway public opinion. And to make matters worse, Swift's legal team was allegedly working behind the scenes to ensure her name stayed out of any further filings. The tension became even more obvious at public events. Swift noticeably distanced herself from Lively in early 2025, skipping events they would typically attend together. Social media erupted with theories, with some fans claiming Swift was trying to avoid the drama altogether, while others believed she was quietly cutting ties with Lively. Meanwhile, Baldoni saw an opportunity. His legal team used Swift's involvement to argue that Lively had engaged in a calculated PR smear campaign, leveraging high-profile connections to destroy his reputation. This move sent shockwaves through Hollywood, because if Baldoni was right, this case wasn't just about two feuding actors anymore. It was about the power and influence of Hollywood's biggest names. And as more celebrities started taking sides, the industry backlash became impossible to ignore. Hollywood thrives on relationships, and when a scandal this explosive hits, the fallout is swift and brutal. Both Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni began feeling the effects of their legal war, not just in the media but in their careers. For Baldoni, the consequences were immediate. His talent agency, WME, reportedly severed ties with him, and several major studios distanced themselves from any projects he was attached to. Industry insiders whispered that Baldoni had become radioactive, with executives unwilling to risk the backlash of being associated with him. But Lively wasn't walking away unscathed either. Some insiders suggested that her aggressive legal stance and the involvement of big names like Taylor Swift had made her a polarizing figure. While many in Hollywood rallied behind her, others, particularly those wary of the growing influence of social media-driven cancel culture, saw her actions as excessive. And then came the shocking twist. Producers behind It Ends With Us were considering shelving the film altogether. The once highly anticipated movie was now at the center of a scandal too messy to ignore. Rumors swirled that streaming platforms were hesitant to acquire distribution rights, fearing that either side of the legal battle could retaliate with lawsuits or public backlash. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds, who had been a vocal supporter of Lively, was now facing his own professional dilemmas. Sources claimed that some studios had started reconsidering their partnerships with him, wary of the escalating drama. With careers hanging in the balance, all eyes turned to one pivotal moment: the upcoming trial, where everything would be decided once and for all. With tensions at an all-time high, the courtroom showdown between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni is now the most anticipated Hollywood legal battle in years. Scheduled for March 2026, the trial is set to uncover explosive details that could change everything. Legal experts predict that both sides will bring out their biggest weapons: text messages, behind-the-scenes footage, and testimonies from industry insiders who witnessed the alleged misconduct firsthand. But one major question remains: will a settlement be reached before it gets to trial? Some sources suggest that Baldoni may be open to a confidential settlement to salvage what's left of his career. However, Lively's team seems determined to see this battle through to the end. Her lawyers have made it clear that they want accountability, not just financial compensation. Meanwhile, Hollywood is holding its breath. If Baldoni wins, it could set a precedent for defamation lawsuits in the entertainment industry, making it riskier for alleged victims to come forward. If Lively wins, it could further empower actors to speak out against inappropriate behavior, sending shockwaves through the industry. With so much at stake, this isn't just a personal feud anymore. It's a battle that could reshape Hollywood's power dynamics forever. But as the trial date looms, one thing is certain: no matter who wins, both of their careers will never be the same again. This isn't just another Hollywood scandal. It's a battle that could change the industry forever. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's legal war has already cost them their reputations, strained friendships, and put a multi-million-dollar film project at risk. But as the trial date creeps closer, the real question isn't just who will win, it's what the fallout will mean for Hollywood as a whole. Will Baldoni's defamation lawsuit set a new precedent for celebrities fighting back against public allegations? Or will Lively's battle for accountability reshape how misconduct claims are handled in the industry? One thing's for sure: the truth will come out, and when it does, it might be even more shocking than anyone expected.